It's time to sip that coffee, get your mind right, and vibe with the queen herself. We're dishing out hot topics, wellness tips of the day, and things that make you go, Let's get this palace party started.
Woo! All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. Look, in the words of Johnny Gill, honey, this topic, my. Hey, listen, bravo. Ooh, bravo TV. I knew it. Listen, are y'all surprised? Are y'all shocked regarding y'all like that note I hit? Yes, in the words of Johnny, my. Listen, we gonna talk about it today, and some of y'all aren't gonna like. You know what? You're gonna be shocked by my commentary today. I am not here to give it your way like Burger King. I am going to speak my truth, and then I'm going to run and I'm going to hide for cover. Because I know some of y'all are not going to like it, but I don't give a damn. Let me tell you why. And I mean that in fun. We're going to have a good time here today. I don't give a damn. And let me tell you why. Garcelle is in the middle of this for a reason. Garcelle Bouvet, thank you. Look, Bevius. Garcelle Bevius Bouvet made the cut, made this thumbnail for a reason. And I don't think a lot of you realize what's going on, but thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick Ronald McDonald. Patrick is a lead television producer who comes with a very extensive background in reality television. Okay. Patrick has earned his way to the top. You know what? He's done undeniable work with the likes of Vanderpump Rules. He started off on the Real Housewives, I do believe, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and he worked his ass off. And the only reason why I'm talking about this, because it kind of aligns itself with our Wednesday morning corporate segment. And I keep telling y'all, it's a business. And a lot of you get too comfortable and then you F around and you find out, oh, wait a minute. The doors are closed. So Patrick McDonald came out yesterday and y'all, he exposed the hell out of Bravo. He exposed Bravo TV and the likes of the producers. Listen, it's toxic. It's been toxic. The manipulation and the abuse that's exposed behind the scenes. We've been talking about it as it relates to all things Love and Mary Tunstall. Now we're in Bravo land. Okay. Now the difference is, at least Bravo pays. At least Bravo pays well. I'm going to say that. You know what? Their budget and their salary is a little bit more appetizing and appeasing than that of Kingdom Reign and OWN Network. Can we all agree? Now, Patrick, I have a small bone to pick with you. The only thing that I will probably say, Patrick, you got mad because you couldn't have your cake. Well, really, it ain't your cake and eat it too. Did y'all know it's not your cake and eat it too? Supposedly, it's this, Kate and Edith too. I'm going to put it in the chat. You got mad because you couldn't have your cake and eat it too. Or your Kate, Kate, and Edith too. Now, Patrick decided that Patrick said, listen, I work for Bravo. I've been working for Bravo for quite a number of years, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my job. It's been good. It's hard work, but it's been good. Toot Latrice says, no, y'all didn't know that? It's Kate and eat it too. See, it doesn't make sense. When people say your cake and eat it too, what it really meant is a man couldn't have two women. One was named Kate. The other one's name was Edith. Have y'all not heard that before? You cannot have your cake and Edith too. Now, let me get back to Patrick. So, no, that's when he first started. Simone, don't start with me. She already started. I'm going to drop the link for her. No, Simone, he started off making 1K a week. We're going to play it. He started off making 1K a week. Yes, y'all have been saying it wrong for so long. You cannot have your Kate and Edith Two. You were today years old when you found out. Anywho, Patrick decided, you know what? I see these content creators out here that are making a lot of money. And I want to get in and I want to do content creation. Now, that's not against the law. Here's a nuance. Patrick didn't want to do YouTube. He didn't want to do Snapchat. He didn't want to do Twitch. He didn't want to do Instagram. Patrick went and got himself an OnlyFans. Patrick went and got himself an OnlyFans and started producing, because he is a television producer, started producing adult content, if you know what I mean. He went there and he thought he could have his Kate and Edith too by way of Bravo. And Bravo said, hell no to the no, no, no. Hell to the no. So when they got back from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills trip from St. Lucia, Bravo quietly closed the door. Bravo never called him again. They didn't say a word. They ghosted him. Okay? You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here if you're going to be on the OnlyFans channel doing what you do, because you just can't do that here at Bravo. So Patrick decided, listen, all right, if that's how you're going to treat me after all I done for you, I'm about to out you on social media. And that's exactly what he did. He came out, he made a 2-part series, and he basically, told all of Bravo's business. Now, in the street, we call that Mad Day. Trey Carter says, if nothing else, I appreciate him speaking up for the lower pegs of production. You know what? I appreciate that. But I wish Patrick, Patrick, could you not have done that before Mad Day? Patrick, could you not have done that before Mad Day? That's how I'm asking you all to come on in. Come on in. Come in a little bit closer now. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Now, see, because he was sitting at the top, Trey. He was at the top of the food chain. So could he not have pushed a little bit harder while he was in? See, it's like the movie, the Netflix on the movie on Netflix called The Platform. He was on the higher level. He was on level 1. He got to eat first. Did you shake the table, Patrick? And I'm not disagreeing with what, hey, to me, it's content. I'm going to get up here and talk about it. But my question to you, because I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. As a matter of fact, let me mind my manners. For those of you who are just tuned in, or if you're new to this channel, welcome to the palace. This is our platform. I am Queen Sheba. I hone in on, what do I say, y'all? Hold on. I messed up. I am Queen Sheba. I forgot. But anywho, what I'm trying to say is I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience. So Patrick was at the top of the eating of the food chain. And when Bravo decided that they did not want to continue to do business with him as he made adult content, Patrick got mad and told everything. Now, I do think it's good that he did look out for the lower pegs of production. That's a great call out, Trey. But my question is, why not do it when you're there? And here's the problem with that. You were like like I was describing the movie, The Platform on Netflix. He got to eat first. I guarantee you he did not shake the table while he was there. Okay? I guarantee you he did not shake that damn table. Because, yes, it was hard. It was unfortunate that the lower pegs were being treated as such. However, there were benefits to him being there. He worked his way to the top. Okay. He enjoyed the perks of being a lead producer, I am sure. Now, Patrick, I appreciate you, but I think you done lost your damn mind if you think Bravo finna let you go and do what you want to do on camera by way of adult content and still come back to work. Y'all, we're moving into this world where we have no type of discretion. I'm not saying what he do is right or wrong, but the audacity to think that you can do it and still work within that corporation. Now, I get what he's saying, but Patrick, come on now. I get what you're saying. Well, he said you got ladies on the show that are doing this and this and that, but you're not the lady on the show. You are a lead television producer. They don't want to see you doing what you do. They can't afford it's just too much, Patrick. So I don't know why you're shocked. I just, I mean, as we start to think about the freedom and the liberalness of it all, right? I'm not getting into politics. I just think that people are out of their minds, and sometimes we just have unrealistic expectations when it comes to doing what the hell we want to do in somebody else's home. Are y'all with me? Y'all over there looking at that man on OnlyFans? Oh my God. Are y'all really over there looking at that man? Why did I get this started? Why did I even think this? You know what? Daily Peach Housewives. Hey, Daily Peach Housewives, welcome. So I appreciate we're gonna listen to what Patrick had to say. Why is Garcelle here? Garcelle is here. Get ready. Get your tomatoes ready. Because I know you're gonna throw them at the screen. And you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say. But shit, I'm gonna say it anyway. Fuck it. Garcelle made my thumbnail. Now, I've been sitting back on this and I've been trying to play nice with y'all. Y'all, for those of you that are new to the channel, I'm being sarcastic. My viewers understand. Now, I've been trying to play nice with y'all. Garcelle, whether you realize it or not, is the producer's pet. Okay? Garcelle has been the producer's pet for the last 5 years. Now, we're going to get into the thick of it of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion tonight. I'm not going to get too deep, but I'm going to talk a little shit around it, okay? I like Garcelle. I ain't got no problem with her. I always say, as it relates to any Real Housewives franchise, any type of reality television, everybody has a number. Everybody has a number. I got a number. You got a number. Garcelle has a number. Everybody has a number. My question has always been, what's your number? Garcelle has done the fool. Garcelle has done the fool for the white folks for the last 5 years. For the last 5 years on a franchise called Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Another reason why she's on this thumbnail is because I believe that in his segment, in his part 1 series, he referred to her, I strongly believe, in one instance. Okay. He didn't say her name in that instance. He said it in another, but I believe he was speaking to her. Y'all forget that Garcelle is an actress. Mm. Let that marinate. Oh, Simone is not having it. She says, no, ma'am, Garcelle, get thee behind me. She rebukes me in the name of Jesus. Garcelle is an actress, and she did the damn thing. Garcelle showed up, and she worked until it didn't work for her, okay? The one thing I can appreciate about Garcelle, as opposed to a Nene Leakes, yeah, I said it. Garcelle did not holler racism on her way out the door. She just quit. She quit because she fucked around and found out. You're not Charles in charge. They let you do the damn thing for 5 years. And you took them as far as you could take them. And those tables turned on her. But I can appreciate her not yelling racism because she understood. She understood that she got played. She realized, damn, like Big Brother, they backdoored her. But when you are the one to get the scoop, and when you are the one to take the lead and take point on getting the gossip, and I'll push the envelope, as a matter of fact, fuck it, I'll knock it off the table. Don't think they're not going to come for you. It's reality television. She had a target on her back, and they came for her. Because Garcelle showed up and worked this season. Dorit showed up and worked this season. Garcelle earned her check, but she also earned that target on her back. But she was lady enough to say, you know what, damn, I just quit. Oh, yeah, girl. You realize the game was way deeper than you thought. The game was way deeper than she thought because you thought you and Sutton were actually friends. And once Patrick breaks down how this shit really works, you're going to see, I hope, and come to understand from a psychological and a behavioral trait, what I understand. Listen, that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say about it. Okay, Kat says, Queen, what if the show went on without Sutton or Garcelle questioning the women? I would be mad. The audience would be angry. Someone has to ask the questions. I agree, Kat. I agree. But she took the lead all the time, and so did Bose. They took the bait. So did Bose. She took the lead, and that's great. But don't be surprised. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. If they come for you. And I can respect her not yelling racism. See, Nene, when we listen to Patrick, you're going to understand what I'm saying. I hope. That's my hope. When we start to listen to Patrick, you're going to see how Nene Leakes shot herself in the foot. See, all of them get that good old manipulation and abusive treatment from Bravo. It's not racism. It's just that it's your turn. It's your day. Bravo don't give a damn about none of them. Nene yelled, what? Racism. And the white girls come back the next day, next season, and ask for a bigger check. The ones who can do and the ones who can't leave. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. Oh, yeah, Queen Sheba, you're talking a lot of crap today. I am. I'm too scared to drop the link. Andre Shannon says these women was normal when Real Housewives of Atlanta season 1 episode when Bravo made. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, all right. The one says she was a confessional gangster. Confessional gangster. All right, let's get into it. M. Mill says, I'm glad Garcelle moved on. This ish is beneath her. Is it really though? Because she took the ball and ran with it season after season after season. It really ain't beneath her because she was playing the game and she was in the lead. She was leading the race for 5 seasons. She was pushing the button, pressing the envelope. Is it wrong or right? No, I'm just saying. But I think a lot of y'all give her a pass because she's a sister girl. Oh, they mad today. They don't like what I'm saying today. Kat says, I like strong opinions, though. Talk your crap. I am. I'm going to sit here and talk it. Thank you, Daily Peach. Yes, you did. Daily Peach says, I'm happy I sent this your way last night. I wanted to hear your opinion. I have to, you know what? I have to take it all in and see what angle I can come from. And thank you, because I went back and found it this morning at 5 a.m. And I said, is there anything here that I can talk about? Garcelle has been the producer's pet. She's been shucking and jiving like a jive turkey for 5 years. She's been shucking and jiving like a jive turkey for 5 years. And a lot of you didn't see it. And I'm not saying she's a bad person. Please don't confuse it. Please don't confuse my thorough, transparent, open opinion with me thinking that she wasn't good for the show. I thought she was excellent. But please don't be foolish enough to think that she's off limits. That's all I'm saying. The Review Hour with E Podcast says, I don't think Garcelle was ignorant to wealth and power of the lady. She's been around. No, I don't neither. That's not what I'm saying. She was ignorant to how the game really is played. And that's a perfect segue into the video I'm about to share. All right. Oh, Kaya, get those thumbs up, not thumbs down. I mean, Kia. They don't like what I'm saying today, but that's okay. Yeah, she was a jive turkey. Hold on. How I See It TV then showed up in the house. She says, no, she wasn't leading the race. She had people cursing out her kids and other cast members laughing. Another castmate constantly calling her aggressive. She's been the target for 5 years. I said what I said. I'm going to drop the link. I'm going to let y'all come up here and I'm going to take cover. Give me 1 second. We're going to go ahead and share the video and we're going to listen to it. And I'm going to pause it in between every now and then to point out particulars that stand out to me. All right, let's get this party started. Here we go. This is Patrick McDonald. All right, looks like we can see it. Hold on. Here we go.
What's up, y'all? My name is Patrick McDonald, and for the last 5 years, I've been producing reality shows for Bravo. Most recently, I was serving as the supervising producer on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Orange County, and Vanderpump Rules.
Pretty impressive, right?
That is until recently, when I was iced out and essentially blackballed by all my shows after I started creating adult content on subscription fan sites. Now, why would I start creating adult content? Well, I was extremely burnt out, overworked, and exhausted by the toxic work culture on a lot of the shows that I worked on. I produced 13 seasons of Bravo across 9 different shows. I'm acutely aware of the inner workings and the work culture across the board at the network. Most of these shows, you're working 12 plus hour days, 6 days a week, 3 to 4 months at a time. And then I would look at these people in my life who are content creators, and they're working far less than me, making a lot more money than me, doing whatever they want, whenever they want, living a life of freedom by content.
Then just say that. But don't say I made or I wanted to make a, and I like this guy and I appreciate him and I believe him. But let's just call a thing a thing. In the words of Ayanna Van Zandt, call a thing a thing. Just say, wow, with my experience, I realized I needed and wanted more flexibility, more financial freedom, and I like sex. And I'm in great shape. And I decided I'm going to take my skills and my marbles and I'm going to go to OnlyFans and I'm going to have some fun. But don't say it's because you're being overworked and this and this and that. But let's go.
Contrast, I started to look at how much of my life I was devoting to work, and it made me really start to question what I was doing with my life. Now, I'm not an idiot. I knew there was a chance when I started making adult content that it could jeopardize my work with Bravo. But on the other hand, it's 2025. There's Real Housewives and other Bravo reality stars with fan sites. So if someone that's a face of the network can create a fan site, certainly it shouldn't be a problem for someone who works behind the scenes, right? We're seeing guests on Watch What Happened Live being corrected when they use the word hooker and told to say sex worker. We're having adult entertainers bartending in the clubhouse. So I thought, maybe it wouldn't be an issue.
Now, Patrick, you know better. But okay.
Maybe then I could kind of pick and choose which shows I take, evening out my work-life balance a little bit and supplementing my income with the fan sites. I'm not sure if me being iced out was done at a network level or at a production company level, but all I know is that once I started creating this content, things went radio silent with the executive teams on my shows. I haven't heard from the exec team on Beverly Hills since we left St. Lucia, and I haven't.
Oh, since they left St. Lucia. I think... I wish I like from a content perspective and entertainment, I appreciate this tea. I do. But because he's done so well in his career, I wish he had used other words. So there's two components, right, to what I'm saying. I appreciate it for me as a content creator and for us today, because honey, this is good. But then when you start to go through his resume, as he's going to kind of walk you through how he worked his way up in Bravo, that is what I wish he would have given more thought to. Just in case OnlyFans doesn't work out and you decide to come back, you left with a clean slate. I don't think they iced you out. Okay, people releasing you and because you decided to go in a different direction is not icing you out. It's not a good fit, Patrick. That's it. That's all.
I haven't heard from the OC exec team since we shot the last reunion, where it became abundantly clear to me that word had gotten out about my fan sites. Once I realized I was being iced out, even though I knew it was a possibility, it still hurt my feelings, to be perfectly honest. For the last 5 years, I've given so much of myself to these shows, pouring my energy, heart, and soul to telling these compelling stories, all while enduring incredibly intense pressure from a lot of my bosses. Now, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone more passionate about their job at Bravo than me. I have loved Bravo and been enamored by Real Housewives ever since I saw Sheree shifting Kim Zolciak's wig out in front of Jimmy John's on Atlanta back in the day. I love these shows. I loved them then, and I love them to this day. And I love them because I know how much they mean to people, because I know how much they meant to me. I was proud and honored to work on these shows, and as it turned out, I was really good at it.
And he is really good at it. He's about to run down his resume.
Came into the Bravo world in a bit of an unconventional way. Several years ago, I myself was on a reality show much like these shows called Fire Island. And I was on that show during one of the darkest periods of my life. I was battling a serious drug addiction at the time that I was keeping a secret during production.
And that's why I say it's important on these reality shows. Shit, that's why I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience, or, in this case, whatever, because you never know. And I'm not saying to get like, what are we doing? Some of these people should not be on reality television. He said he was in one of the darkest, he was addicted to drugs, doing the most on this show, and nobody knew it. But let's continue.
Production. So I know what it's like to be on one of these shows while your life is crumbling around you and you're trying to just keep it together. It's a really unique position to be in, and one that's very hard to understand until you go through it yourself. Shortly after Fire Island wrapped, I was a homeless junkie, shooting up 3 to 4 times a day, and was sleeping under bridges,
Wow. Shortly after his reality show wrapped up, he was shooting up, I'm guess heroin, and homeless, just shooting up, wasting his life away. But watch this.
But then I went to rehab. I got clean and I started to rebuild my life. I've been sober for about 1.5 years, working 2 jobs, one at a grocery store and one cutting down trees, when I got my first offer to work on a Bravo show. I was so beyond grateful for that job because I honestly thought I'd never work in TV again. So I took it and I ran with it and gave it everything I had. I started out as a logger on Married to Medicine, and I quickly climbed the ladder from there. My next
He's going to break down what a logger is. A logger is the person that kind of writes up the transcript and sends, like, I forgot the word, transcribes and sends like a summary of the segments, kind of writing. They summarize what happened from start to finish that day so that Bravo, whomever, can decide, kind of follow the story, see if there's anything there, and how they want to compose or compile the episodes.
Next show, I got a promotion. Next show, I got a promotion. By my 4th show, I was promoted to field producer, and I was running a crew on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Within the next 2 years, I was promoted to supervising.
Now, here's what I like about him. What's the stark difference between his story and Carlos King's story? Both started on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, I do believe. Or maybe Carlos started on Love and Hip Hop. But Carlos eventually transitioned to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Are y'all following? Candy Burris stepped in and demanded a promotion for Carlos King when Carlos was just an assistant producer. Okay. This man worked his way up by way of just work, sweat equity, and continued to work his way up on each show, which made him really, really, really good at what he does. If you Google him and see how he crafted Tom Sandoval into this big shining star, you'll understand that he does make stars. He does know what he's doing. And he started from the bottom. Now he's here. That's the stark difference. You got one that worked their way up. You got another one that received a favor from a woman. Okay.
Producer, working directly under the co-executive producers. And for the first time in my life, I really knew I was great at something, and that was consistently affirmed by my supervisors and the cast members that I produced. Most of the showrunners would tell me that I was one of the best field producers they'd ever worked with. Cast members who were notoriously challenging for producers in the past, requesting that I produce their scenes. I was in my element. I was killing it. I was really freaking proud of myself. For the first couple years, I think I was blinded to the toxic culture on a lot of these shows by my excitement to be there. But after a while, I started to step back and question the way these shows were being run. I could see how overworked and stressed out a lot of my colleagues were. And I would look at a lot of the gay men who were showrunners on.
This is so important. He said, I would look at a lot of the gay men and the showrunners that are producers. I don't know if you remember this. There was a Black producer that came out a few weeks ago, and he talked about a lot of these producers are gay. Watch this. And this is their experience, right? These are not my words. These are 2 male producers that have had an extensive history working in reality television. This one is gay. The other one is heterosexual. This one happens to be white. The other one happened to be Black. And they're both saying similar things, right? A predominant of the showrunners and producers are gay men that are not very happy. The Black producer said what he came to find is that a lot of the ones that were not healthy, and when I say healthy, I'm talking about a state of mind, would actually purposely try to break up the heterosexual relationships and influence some of the women to try girl on girl or same sex relationships. Do y'all not remember that? Do y'all remember that? His name, he's Daily Peach says, I really like the part where he talks about the behind the scenes of production and network. Very insightful. Okay. Now, this is why you see the likes and you be like, why are they treating these women horribly? Because you don't have a lot of women back there to say, hey, wait a minute, you don't handle women like this. I don't care what your orientation is. A woman is still a woman. That's a bit aggressive. We can't really do that scene because this is not the way it will be received. So anywho, let me continue.
On this show and try to picture my life if I was in their position. And honestly, most of them seemed unhappy, lonely, and some of them
lonely,
quite miserable. Is this
miserable? That's the same way the other producer described it. Now, those are not my words. I'm just bringing context. And hopefully, as you begin to visualize the history of reality television, is it that reality television is a problem? Or is it that the men that work in reality television are the real problem? Because the way I was taught is if you want to change the culture and or the environment, you cut the snake off from the head.
Is this really what I want out of my life? Is this the trajectory I want to continue down? So time went on and my passion for the genre started to wane as a result by how poorly cast and crew were treated at times. And for someone who loves Housewives as much as I do, I was quite shocked by how disenchanted I became. I also developed a bit of a moral dilemma on a recent season when a cast member's sexuality was at the center of a storyline. I found the internal conversations about this person. And
now, this is where I strongly believe that he's speaking directly about Garcelle, producer's pet. He said he found himself in a moral conflict because the cast member's sexuality was in question. Let's continue. Garcelle, that's why you made my thumbnail. Because you pushed this season for Kyle to admit that she likes women. And that's not your story to tell. And I got to be fair. That's Kyle's story to tell.
And what they were going through to be extremely insensitive, problematic, and quite frankly, gross. A person's coming out journey, if they have one, is entirely their own. Full stop. Now, let me be clear. I'm not talking about friends of this person who are also on the show who would naturally be inquisitive and ask questions about someone's life and who they're dating. I'm talking about the entity of a TV show digging into someone's sexuality in a way that's salacious and sensationalized. That's what the internal dialogue felt like to me. Producers encouraging other cast members to ask direct questions that would put this person's sexuality on the spot.
Who did that this season? If you're gay, just say you're gay. If you like girls, just say you like girls. Just be you. I'm sorry. Garcelle immediately came to mind. I'm like, oh my God. He likes Garcelle. Nobody's saying she's a bad person. He actually goes on to say she's wonderful to work with. And a lot of you forget that she's an actress. So she knows how to act. She knows how to be kind. She knows how to be nice. She's a trained actress. But that does not make her innocent. That does not mean that she did not get in there and play dirty. And I felt like she did in some instances.
This felt really invasive to me and crossed the line that I wasn't really comfortable with. I would see people at the executive level who have worked with this cast member for years, seemingly very close, talk to this cast member in a seemingly compassionate way. And then when the cast member would walk away, they completely changed their tune and spoke of this person and what they were going through with such a lack of empathy and respect, even going so far as to using a gay slur, that it was truly shocking. I thought to myself, if this is how they treat this person, someone who has bled out for this show and this network in ways that most people will never know, if this is how they talk about them, they are never going to have my back. And it turns out I was right. The circumstances around that storyline were a major contributing factor to me realizing that it was time to make a change. I also want to quickly touch on Garcelle announcing her departure from the show because I've seen some wildly negative things said about her online. I could go on for days about what a pleasure Garcelle was to work with, but if you really want to measure the character of a real housewife, ask the crew members who they like to shoot with the most. You can learn a lot about a person by the way they treat the people that they think can do nothing for them. Any morning when the crew found out that we were spending the day with Garcelle, they were ecstatic. And they most definitely do not feel that way about all of the ladies on the show. And I'm so proud of Garcelle for prioritizing her life over a television show. You know, I found many parallels between.
I think she did. And kudos to Garcelle, but she didn't do it planned, y'all. This was not a thought out, you know what, life is really good to me. And my kids, no, that was an afterthought. What happened is Garcelle didn't get her way on that reunion. And if we can all agree, y'all, it wasn't that bad. It was not that bad. And I'm trying to save my commentary for tonight. I don't want to get too, it wasn't that bad. And I feel like Garcelle crumbled under pressure. Sorry, not sorry.
Between producing reality TV and producing adult content. They both offer a voyeuristic view into some of the most vulnerable and mostly unseen moments in people's lives. But I have to say that I've found adult entertainment to be far less invasive than reality TV. It's interesting because most of Bravo's shows and Housewives are centered around conflict, people hurting one another and then making up and then hurting one another again. And society deems that as perfectly acceptable. But God forbid you produce content about people pleasuring each other, making one another feel good. How scary.
Now, Patrick, that's where you lost me. You cannot compare the women arguing and making up to you wanting to pleasure a man online or a woman online via adult content. You cannot use that to validate and justify their separation from you. I get where you're going with it, but it's just, it's you can't compare the two. It's their house, their rules. Their house, their rules. And that's the stark difference between the differentiation between Nene Leakes to me and Garcelle. Garcelle got comfortable in their house and realized, oh shit, I guess I am a guest. I'm not the homeowner. Whereas Nene Leakes she drank the Kool-Aid. She forgot she was a guest and started to behave as a homeowner. You get what I'm saying? So Patrick, you were a guest and not the homeowner. And I've heard that Bravo makes you really comfortable. They pay you well. They're going to take good care of you. Okay. Brandy Glanville forgot that she's a guest and not the homeowner. That's all I'm saying.
Scandalous, right? When it's more palatable for mainstream society to watch people hurt one another than it is to pleasure one another, it's no wonder the world's in this.
I don't want to hear that. And I understand what he's saying. Yeah, reality television. Yeah, it's salacious. Yeah, it's toxic. We know that. They know that. But they all have a number. And for every one that won't, you got 10 to 15 that will. For less money. So, and you did it, Patrick, for a number of years. And you did it well. And you produced it. And you made it happen. And you made people stars. And you would have continued to do it after the St. Lucia trip had they not parted ways with you. So is he right or wrong? Neither nor. I'm just saying, I'm trying to look at it from all angles, and I appreciate him coming out, but I just wish, I don't want him to tear up his career. That's all I'm saying. Because number one, being that he has a history with drugs and substance, I am of belief that in order to do adult content, you have to be under some type of influence. I don't know if that's the right career path for him, but that's a grown man considering his history. That's all. That's all.
State that it's in. For me, my life has become much more balanced, more fulfilling, and far less toxic since I started working in adult entertainment. For so much of my life, I made decisions based upon what other people will think. What will my family think? What will my coworkers think? What will society think? Other people's opinions often shape so much of our decision making. And honestly, adult entertainment has been something I've been interested in doing for a long time, but
then just say that. But don't make Bravo the beast.
I was too scared to do because of the fear of what other people might think. Man, you've got one life to live and it's yours alone. And I've been having such a blast making this content for the past few months. I mean, working with the housewives can be fun at times, but traveling the world to film with some of the most beautiful men on the planet is also a pretty top tier job.
All right. There you have it. You rather travel with the boys and have fun, and that's fine. But you threw Bravo under the bus. You threw Bravo under the bus while doing so. You get what I'm saying? As a television producer, because Bravo is not the end all be all, right? There's other television networks that you could possibly work for should you decide to come back to television. Y'all do not slam doors. That's the moral of the story. And I'm going to go to part two. I'm going to go to part two of his series. My recommendation is don't slam doors, close them quietly. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Andre says Kyle Richards' sister, Kathy Hilton, has popularity and she's rich. She is. She's aging though. And what I mean by I'm talking about, like, I'm concerned for Kathy. That's it. I'm concerned for Kathy. Kathy had an accident on herself at the table while she was in St. Lucia. Now, to those of you that believes that he's not talking about Garcelle, he was talking about I strongly believe he was talking about Garcelle, because he said on a recent show, he wasn't talking about seasons before when Denise Richards were there. He was talking about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. He just left St. Lucia with them, y'all. Yeah, he's not talking about past seasons. He said recently. All right, let me see. Oh, CW says Kathy is fine. She acts totally different on the show with Paris and Nicole. Oh, look at y'all want to argue with me. Y'all say he was not talking about Garcelle. Listen, should we go to part two? Should we go to part two? Or should we open up the lines? Let's go to part two. Give me 1 second. And then we're out of here. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. All right, here we go. Here is part two.
It occurred to me that maybe Bravo isn't even aware of some of the volatile working conditions that these producers and crew are subjected to, especially on these cast trips. On my first international cast trip, I found myself in hand-to-hand combat with a Real Housewife. There I was in my Lady Gaga t-shirt, making $1,000 a week as an associate producer, freaking like Simba and Scar with this housewife, trying to stop her from physically assaulting another cast member with a metal pole. Needless to say, these shows are...
So are y'all saying was he talking about Tamara? Y'all are saying that was on OC. Was he talking about Tamara? Who was trying to Tamara came to my brain. Who was he talking about? Trey says Bravo is owned by NBC. He slammed the door and locked it and set it on fire. Guaranteed he's blackballed. Damn, people just don't be thinking.
Are stressful enough without the added pressure of an egomaniacal showrunner with incredibly unrealistic expectations. Oftentimes, the co-executive producers are left doing damage control for all the things the showrunners screw up, while also being the only ones who actually get anything done. I've always been a firm believer in trying to leave a place better than you found it. So here are a few things that I think need to change at Bravo, and just a few things that maybe need to be brought to their attention. Stop overworking your producers to the point of complete exhaustion. The amount of pressure and the expectations put on producers and crews on these cast trips are truly insane. You see, these shows aren't unionized.
I think that's a great call out. They're not unionized, but here's the thing. So in order to form a union, these reality stars would have to be willing to give over a portion of their income to establish the union. Would they be willing to do that? I don't think so.
Unionized, so there aren't protections in place to ensure that employees aren't being mistreated and overworked. Now, some shows do these trips correctly. Vanderpump Rules, for example, staggers their crews and their producers to ensure that everyone is given adequate rest. That's a testament to the showrunner.
That's awesome. I learned that. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Vanderpump Rules actually staggers their crews. That's phenomenal.
And the production management on that show, the seasons that I was on it, because they actually cared about the well-being for the cast and crew. And that was reflected in the vibe of that crew. People loved working on that show.
So are you catching what he's saying? You can tell by the vibe of the cast, the quality of the production team. Basically the success of the show. A lot of times you can tell because they have a phenomenal ass, kick-ass production team or showrunner that's just, man, he's going to take care of his crew. When you take care of your crew, the crew takes care of the castmates. And then you just see these great edits. You see good, it makes sense. Basically, the storylines make sense. The ebb and the flow of the show makes sense. Let's continue.
Show because of great leadership. Winter House was another example of an executive producer who made sure that producers and crew were staggered. And that too was one of the happiest crews I worked for on my time at Bravo. On the other hand, you have showrunners that run these trips like tyrants. They expect every producer to be at the cast rooms at 8 a.m. and they will keep every producer on working until like 2 a.m. Now, if you were a general in the army, would you send every one of your soldiers to the battlefield at the same time? Of course not. Send them in waves to ensure the longevity and endurance of your army as a whole. Same thing applies here. Why would you overexert every single producer on your team unnecessarily when you could stagger them and keep everyone rested and on point for the entire battle?
I wonder if the producers that he's referring to, I would like to say, well, my question is, are they seasoned? Are they younger? Like, I would love to dig a little bit deeper. I wish he could have said, I wish he would have outlined if typically when you get, when they're brought in younger within the first 2 years, that they are made into an executive and because they're inexperienced, I wish he would have said more of it's just random.
Battle. These trips are a battle. On a recent cast trip, myself and a group of crew members traveled 22 hours to an international location. Now, a travel day is a work day. You aren't resting, you're taking flights, you're changing planes, you're receiving gear, you're working.
So he had to have been talking about, do y'all believe he's talking about the Real Housewives of St. Lucia? 22 hours? 22 hours? Do you think? It took them, I'm asking, he said recent. So we're not talking long time ago. He said recent. Okay.
Working. And God forbid you are traveling with the cast. Try being the only producer traveling with 7 housewives on an international flight. God love them, but you are not resting. It's a lot. So we arrive at the hotel after having traveled and worked for the past 22 hours straight, and we receive a text that says, "Welcome. Please drop your bags in your room and freshen up and be in the lobby within the hour for a full day of scouting." Mind you, the executive producer and many others had advanced to the location days before and got a full night's sleep that none of us had. Yet, even though we had just finished a 22-hour workday, we were expected to begin another workday without a wink of sleep. That is unacceptable and I'm pretty sure highly illegal. But on these trips, because there isn't much of a network presence, the entire cast, crew, and production team is at the mercy of one showrunner. And some of these showrunners are wilding out on these trips. Now, the number of times I've consulted.
He says some of these showrunners are wilding out on these trips. They talk to people like they ain't got no damn sense.
A crying segment producer in a foreign country because they couldn't find a pretty enough basket weaving biscuit shop that would meet the incredibly unreasonable expectations of the executive producer. Now, this job is not that serious, so nobody should be driven to the point of tears working on a show about screaming ladies in fancy places. Also, stop overexerting your crews. The camera and audio teams on these shows bust their asses following these cast members around, all while carrying extremely heavy equipment. So every measure should be taken to ensure that they are well taken care of. But unfortunately, there is this culture of content is king on these shows, meaning that nothing is more important than what will appear on the screen. Well, I'm sorry, but I think the health and wellness of human beings should be king. I can't tell you how many times I've popped into Video Village.
My question is, when did all of this occur to you, Patrick? And how come you didn't speak up before? I'm not saying he didn't. And if you did, how did that go? I'm going to lean in a little bit with a little bit of common sense and experience. I don't think you spoke up openly and you took your concerns to the network. I think you heavily benefited from your position and your role. And I'm not saying that you should have or you couldn't have, but what it's giving is disgruntled. True, probably factual, but yet disgruntled. Because had they allowed you to do things your way, would this have been an issue?
It should be like, hey, B crew was supposed to break for lunch 30 minutes ago, and it met with we're in the middle of a scene, we'll break them when we can. All while this guy's like sipping on a Diet Coke and eating a cheese plate without even consulting the people that are holding the heavy cameras and audio bags that are making this show possible. It is a maniacal abuse of power, and it needs to come to an end immediately. I also want to specifically mention the loggers, because these people are some of the most
That's what he started off as. When he first came to Bravo, he started off as a logger.
overworked and underpaid people in the entertainment industry. These are the people who are transcribing the scene work so they can write a summary to send to the network to read what happened for the day. They're expected to be very detailed and accurate. Now, first of all, the logger position should be an associate producer position across the board. A lot of these shows will call them loggers so they can pay them less for doing the same job as an associate producer. But these people work so hard and they deserve that AP title. The loggers have to work their full 12+ hour day, and then they have to go home and write a summary, which can take hours, especially on the cast trips when we're shooting all.
Okay. Now we're getting into a level of privilege. Patrick, I'm just saying.
Day. That is a lot of writing. So these loggers go back to their rooms and are sometimes up until 4 a.m. and then have to be ready to work again at 8 a.m. By the second day of the trip, they are zombies. And the worst part is that they often aren't even paid for all the extra hours that they spend writing. Can't tell you how many times a logger has complained to me that production denied their overtime requests because they didn't request it in advance. Now, how can you request something in advance when you don't know how long it's going to take you to write something? The entire hot sheet system needs to be overhauled and streamlined because as it stands, it's completely broken. I would encourage Bravo to reach out to every logger and AP on the most current seasons of all the shows and ask them if their hours.
This would have been such a beautiful presentation had he chartered this and presented it in real time. I see everybody backstage. Give me 1 second.
Worked accurately were reflected in the hours that they were paid for, because I can guarantee you that in a lot of cases they were not. Because these shows are produced in the field by a production company and not the network, there is rarely a network presence on set, if at all. There's a kid.
Okay, so let's just call a thing a thing. These production companies, Kingdom Reign, I'm just saying, not in this case, but I'm being facetious, are abusing the employees, manipulating castmates, putting them up against each other, causing and creating toxic, hostile environments. There we have it. It's the production companies, he said, and they're able to get away with it and have gotten away with it for a number of years because there's no network presence in real time. What does that mean? There's no executives there to babysit. There's no executives there from Bravo, OWN, NBC to make sure their employees are being treated well and fair.
There's occasionally a network exec on cast trips, but they usually pop in for a day or two and sit at Video Village watching the monitors. They're not involved with production logistics. I would encourage Bravo to send an HR representative to location for the entire duration of these cast trips to ensure that the cast and the crew are being treated fairly, professionally, and given their adequate breaks and rest time between shoot days. Another thing I'd like to see change is let's stop telling cast members how to feel.
Oh, this gets interesting.
There were so many times on my last few seasons where I'd arrive to a scene and the housewife would tell me, now I know I'm supposed to feel appreciative to her about this, but I just really don't. I'm like, who told you you're supposed to feel that way? The executive producer. It is such a disservice, not only to the cast member, but also to the producer who's trying to produce an authentic scene for reality television. And also it just makes for bad TV.
He's saying now producers, these new producers are coming in trying to tell you how to feel. Okay, Queen Sheba gave you flowers, but you really don't like her because what she did last year. I just need you to go in and be grateful. Appreciate her, okay? And he's saying it's really messing up with the authenticity of the show. It's disrupting the reality of it all.
It's clunky, bad producing. A good producer will arrive to a scene, talk to their cast member, and find out how they feel. If the cast member doesn't know, a great producer will talk it through with them and help them figure out how they feel. A bad producer will just tell them how to feel. Several housewives on my last few seasons have been complaining that they've never been told how to feel so much. Because here's what.
So now the new ones are coming in saying, well, I need you to go ahead and do this and say this. And what? I've never been told how to feel and say and do, and this is my scene. I want to say what the hell I want to say. He said, these new ones, these production companies with these showrunners and producers, they're coming in, making people look crazy.
Here's what happens. Say the producer convinces the cast member to say they feel that way. So they do it. A day or so later, the cast member gets upset in a scene, and then their true feelings come out. and now they look crazy, and the audience is left thinking, wow, what a flip-flopper, what the hell? Well, that's the producer's fault, and the cast members left to eat it. So if you're a housewife or a cast member on one of these shows and a producer comes in strongly pressuring you to feel a certain way, just know that that producer is producing you with an agenda, and they probably don't have your best interest at heart. Always go with your gut and stay true to your own feelings, because you can always stand on your truth, or else it'll come back to bite you.
I think that was excellent advice. I love it. I like the fact that he's calling out the network. I just don't like the circumstances in which it happened. Not for me, right? Like, I'm gonna do the content no matter what. But I'm always thinking about how things can impact people. So for him, and I'm a little bit tender to his background, because I would hate for him to relapse because of a harsh or knee-jerk decision he's made to take to indulge in pleasure and not strategy. All right. So listen, I see y'all lined up in the back. I'm about to open up the lines. Feel free to click the link. It is pinned in the chat. Listen, have it your way, baby. You know you don't have to agree with me over here. We have a good old time. But listen, I cannot give you the floor to read a thesis and give me a novel. We got to keep it to 60 seconds or less, or I will play that white man. What does that mean, Queen Sheba? I'm serious today. I listen, if you're talking and you and I know Daryl Long is here. That's one of my moderators. He loves to keep the time. If he put that white man on while you're talking, listen, it goes something like this. If it comes on, you went past your time. You got to keep your own time. I'm not going to remind you. We're going to have fun with it today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Bravo, Vivian. You got the floor, Queen. What you got?
So I don't agree. I think Garcelle left on a high note. I think Erica tried to comfort her, and it was ridiculous. Garcelle has always had a career before, during, and after the show, and she's going to be just fine. She was just putting out the truth that everybody else was saying. Garcelle would say it because Cal basically lied and hid stuff for a whole season, and now she wants to pretend like none of that happened. So. I wish Garcelle the best. So yeah. And Erica, I wish Erica was off the show, actually. She's the one that is fake.
All right. That's Bravo Vivian. She said Garcelle left on a high note. Ain't no love lost. She's fine. She's going to be fine. And if she had it her way, she wish Erica would be gone. Oh, look, let me tell y'all something real quick. I forgot. Don't get too far into the reunion. We're going to cover that in more detail tonight when we get to auger and argue with each other. Okay. Bring a cocktail if you want. Bring high tea, Dr. Pepper, whatever y'all drink. We're going to tear it up tonight in the palace. Because
I'm gonna
listen.
try to make it.
Okay. I hope you're able to come back. Let me go to Janae. Welcome, Janae. What you got for today's topic?
Um, hmm. I believe Garcelle could have left a little bit better than what she did, because sometimes it's not what you do, is how you do it. I feel that Garcelle was saying the things that everybody wanted to say but didn't have the balls to say. And I'm glad that people are talking and people are telling the truth about what's going on behind these shows, because too much toxic and bad mess is going on, and something needs to be held. Something and someone needs to be held responsible. It's getting out of control.
But you got so many people that'll do it. You got too many women and men that will act a damn fool for less.
And you right, Queen, because you said it how many shows ago? What's your number?
Pretty much. Did I lie? What's your number? We all got a
No,
number. What's
ma'am, you
your
did not.
number? Janae, you know damn well you got a number. What's your number?
No, I said you didn't
Oh, I'm
lie about that, because remember, I gave you my number.
What was your number? I forgot.
I think it was 1 million.
Now you know you ain't finna get 1 million. Now come on down. The price
I'm
is
just
right.
playing.
Let's make
I'm
the
just
price
playing.
right. What's your number, realistically,
Realistically,
per episode?
per episode, about 60K per episode.
Okay. All right. They say your time is up. Okay. That she went over because I asked her a question. Okay. Thank you, Janae. Let me go to Trey. Trey, welcome. Welcome, Trey. Listen, Trey, I know you probably not going to agree with me, but based on today's topic, what are your thoughts?
Oh no, based on today's topics, I want to say I fully agreed with you. With Garcelle, I won't say she played herself, I'll just quickly say, as far as the reunion, she was ambushed and she didn't know what to do. And that's why I kind of feel like with her, I don't feel like he was talking about her when he was referencing the LGBT, whatever. Mainly because he gave her such a high regard, or he made sure that he spoke out in favor of her right after he made that comment. So that's why I don't think it was her. Um, and what else was I going to say? Okay, it's really sad that we have been conditioned by Bravo to be centered in the mess. And that's where I think the real problem is. That's why these producers are coming in and manipulating these women. And even when he said, just let me tell you, or let me ask you how you feel, or help you figure it out, it also seemed very manipulative. And I do believe that he was on Mad Day, but I don't blame him for, banging on the door. Because, if he doesn't do it, who else is going to do it? Because ain't nobody doing it inside Bravo.
I agree. I agree. Look, you finished in just the nick of time. I told you Daryl want me to play that white man so bad on somebody. Welcome, Simone Wealthy. Listen, I got something to say. Remind me, y'all, if I forget, remind me to say why there's an imbalance of women versus men as it relates to showrunners, right? When he said you have both men, not my words, you have a white producer with extensive history and a very, very stellar career in reality television. Then you had a black one, and his name was Chosen. That's his name. And they both talked about there's a predominantly gay men that are showrunners and producers. Remind me to speak my belief as to why there's not a lot of women. But Simone Wealthy, what are your thoughts regarding today's topic? Welcome, Queen.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me good? Can you hear me good?
Yes, you sound good today, girl. Because
Okay,
your audio
good,
your ass
good.
yesterday.
Okay. Well, I appreciate him coming out, irregardless if it could possibly blackball or will probably blackball his career with Bravo and possibly other stations, but I disagree with the whole Garcelle slander. I will not, I will not, I will not. Garcelle, get behind me. Garcelle is not their pet. Cal Richards is their pet. Period. Point blank. She has not discussed all of the affairs her husband has had since being on the show. She
Bullshit,
brought her
bullshit,
lesbian
bullshit.
girlfriend on the show all last year, getting matching tattoos, and you think we ain't supposed to ask no questions?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Have a nice afternoon. Thank you for
Oh,
having me.
oh, oh, I will see you tonight.
Ain't gonna bring that white man out on my ass.
I will see you
Daryl.
tonight. Same place, same time. I will see y'all tonight. We gonna get down and
I
dirty
ain't
tonight
never
because I know that's what
scared.
y'all are waiting on. All
Bye.
right. Y'all did good today. Listen, I promise we will keep it at an hour, but let me say this real quick. I had to think about it. I was like, why are there not a lot of women? And I thought about it. Most women want to be married and have children. And they don't have the flexibility to give up a portion of their lives like that. Not seasoned women. Maybe, younger in their career, but eventually most women want to fall in love, meet a man, have children, live in a house on a hill. And I believe that's why we don't see as many women in that industry compared to the amount of gay men, because a lot of straight men also probably want to settle down, most, and you know, they have to stay home and take the traditional path, and you can't be gone that much. You can't leave home at 8 a.m. and then come back at 2 a.m. If that makes any sense. Final thoughts, Vivian. Child, she back there multitasking. But listen, that's all. That's it. That's all. I just wanted to. You knew Simone was gonna go off. Brittany said, "Child, I knew Simone was about to go off. Listen, she gonna really go off tonight. I scared her off right now with that white man. That was the only way I could keep her front and center. I scared her off with that white man. But tonight, listen, we going toe to toe, We will be back. Thank you all for tuning in. Those of you over there at Twitter, we appreciate you in the palace. And listen, y'all can come up here. Y'all do not have to agree. But Garcelle is not as innocent as y'all try to make her out to be. Do I like her? Absolutely. Absolutely. But she effed around and found out, girl, you are a guest and not the homeowner. Yes, I would, Daily Peach. Yes, I would. Absolutely. It would be my pleasure. Yep. I really try to mind my business, says yes. Kyle flaunted Morgan around, and I think she was using her to make Mauricio jealous. Oh, I want to talk about that tonight. Can you come back and say that tonight? I have a lot of thoughts. Kyle fucked around and found out that she really wasn't ready for a divorce. I think Kyle played herself when it comes to that. Ooh, Queen Shiba, you said you weren't going to talk about the damn reunion. Let me get out of here. Before I slip up and get into that reunion. With that being said, I will see you all tonight, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come with a cocktail, as a matter of fact, because you might need one. I'm going to make me a lemon drop. For tonight. I'm not going to do that salty dog tonight. I'm going to make me one lemon drop, and I'm going to talk shit to y'all tonight. And you are welcome to do the same with me. All right, y'all. Happy Thursday. I will see everybody later tonight. Enjoy your day.
You wanna argue. I can't argue with you. You mad. I can't argue with you. No. Look at you. You mad. Look at you. You big mad. I'm happy.